Hey everybody, it's Sam Jacobs. Welcome back to the Sales Hacker Podcast. It's Friday Fundamentals. It is sometime in June or July when you're listening to this. I hope it's not too hot. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, I hope it's not too cold. We've got this week's guest back on the show, Andrew Sykes, who is the CEO and founder of a company called Habits at Work, based in Chicago. And the work that they do, Habits at Work, is help you understand and develop. And I think there are 12 sort of high impact habits that can completely change your life. And what we're going to be talking to with Andrew today is what is the single most important habit that you need to embrace in order to change your life and to be the best that you possibly can be. Now, before we do that, we want to thank our sponsor. Of course, we would not be here without our sponsor. Friday Fundamentals is brought to you by Outreach. Outreach triples the productivity of sales teams and empowers them to drive predictable and measurable revenue growth. By prioritizing the right activities and scaling customer engagement with intelligent automation, Outreach makes customer-facing teams more effective and improves visibility into what really drives results. Now, Andrew, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me back.
We are excited to have you back. So today we want to ask you this very simple question. You referenced it on our show on Tuesday, but what's there are, I think, 12 high-impact habits, but what's the single most important habit that you need to develop in order to become a high-performing individual?
Yeah, Sam, there is one habit that we think of as the fundamental habit because you use it in developing mastery in all the other habits. And that's the habit of deliberate practice with feedback. And why that's so critical in business is we describe this habit as the habit of getting good at getting great at anything in record time. So that might be, the other 11 habits or anything you want to in your life. And what's so interesting about work is, although we are completely familiar with the idea of practice when it comes to professional athletes or chess players or musicians, when we get a job, although you may do a little bit of practice when you're new, the more experience we gain, the more we tell ourselves this lie that experience is enough. And so we stop practicing, and as a result, we don't get any better. And I'm sure we've all met people who have got 20 or 30 years of experience, and they're just not that good. So experience itself is not a bad thing unless and until it becomes experience gained on automatic. And an example of that is driving to and from work. You can arrive there and you don't even remember how you got there. You gained experience in driving, but that wasn't intentional or deliberate. So the secret to success is taking time out of your daily schedule and practicing the skills that will make you great. And the best way to have practice that is really powerful is to do it in the company of a coach who has a model of what excellence looks like, against which they can give you feedback. So feedback is the habit that enables a conversation for performance improvement that happens really quickly over time. And the way we bring this to life is through what we call the 2x2 formula, where we ask people to share what they did well, get the same feedback from their coach, and then to share what they could do differently and get the same answer from their coach. And when we say, will this make a difference to your performance? Some people are very skeptical and say, well, maybe I could be just 1% better if I got this feedback. To which our response is, consider that if you get just 1% better and you did that every single working day, that's 240 times in a year, that compounding effect would make you 10 times better a year from today than you are right now. And I would challenge most of your listeners to really consider, in how many skills am I today 10x better than I was a year ago? And if the answer is none or not many, what was almost certainly missing is this time and space to practice deliberately with this feedback habit to allow you to get good at getting great at anything in record time.
I love that. And so again, it's that 2x2 framework every day, working with a coach. I think that's an important pointer. Somebody that has context that can give you the framework and give you the feedback and be a sounding board. And the 2x2 is one thing you think you did well, one thing your coach kind of either they think they did what you did well or responds to, and then one thing you think you can do better, and then they do the same thing. And that's it. That's the 2x2 framework. Do that every day. Be 10 times better in a year. Did I get that right?
You got that exactly right. And of course, there are some expert moves around giving feedback so that it is practical and usable and truthful. And that develops over time. So that's why we say it's important to have a coach who knows what excellence looks like and is also excellent at giving feedback. Because saying, one thing you did well is you really tried hard doesn't point to what I actually did that had me perform well. So although you can practice with a peer and they can be coached to be good coaches, there is seldom a better substitute for finding someone who just knows the game, whatever that game is, and can see things that you can't see for yourself.
Totally agree. Andrew, remind us, what's the best way to get in touch? I think you all built a landing page for us, which we're super excited about. And then also remind us about your email address if folks want to get in touch with you and potentially hire Habits at Work.
Yes, so thank you for that. Our website is habitsatwork.com, and specifically to the conversation we've been having, /sales hacker. And you can reach out to me on my personal email address, Andrew, ANDREW, at habitsatwork.com. That's spelled out. So the second at is AT. So HABITSATWORK.com.
Wonderful. Andrew, thanks so much for being on the show, folks. If you want to reach out to me, you can. LinkedIn.com/Sam F. Jacobs. Thanks again to our sponsor, Outreach, who triples the productivity of sales teams and empowers them to drive predictable and measurable revenue growth. Andrew, thanks so much for being on the show.
Sam, wonderful to be back. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you next time. Hope everybody has a great weekend.